What's the message?
Jesus died on that cross so we could live, and this is not living.
Amen. I respect that.
I miss who I was before Donald Trump came into power. It's hard enough being a human, an adult, a woman, a mother, but waking up every day with this sense of dread and rage. I miss the person I used to be. I miss the country I thought we were.
I'm out here in the farm fields of Illinois. This is a bean field that just turned brown in mid-September. And there's a lot of concern over where the product that these farmers in Illinois have raised is going to be going and what kind of price they'll get for the crops they've raised. I grew up in this area. I went to Little Cayman High School. It's about 2 miles north of here. And I went to school with all the farm kids, and I even grew up in eastern Pennsylvania and went to school with Amish and Mennonite kids in Lancaster County. And growing up, I had an uncle who ran a farm in upstate New York. So I have some history with an empathy for farmers, because I watch how hard they work to get this crop in the ground, and its timing and the rains in spring, whether they come or not. One year it was too wet, the next year it's too dry. It's tough being a farmer. But what's even tougher is growing all this crops and having all the equipment and debt you need to be a farmer, and then be cast aside by things like tariffs. And that's what's so confusing to me. The people out here in farm country, a lot of them have Trump signs in their lawns. There's a huge one up the road here. When I'm cycling over the summer, I see them all over the place. Probably see 10 to 20 in a 40-mile ride. And that indicates to us that farmers are big into Republican values. And that's the other side of the coin here. You know, what is the ideology driving people to want to be Republican? Well, over the centuries, that we've had farming here in the United States, there's been a lot of deception by conservatives. The Dust Bowl came about because people were told to go on out, God will help you, and rain will follow the plow. And that was a lie. And what we wound up with is agricultural conditions that basically turned the entire Great Plains to dust. And there's sort of a similar thing going on in Illinois in many states, because soils are not in a great condition here either. And there's just sort of been this profit-oriented idea that it's your job to go and grind up the soil and get what you can out of it, get the best price for it, and we'll take care of the rest. It's that classic sort of go, go, go ideology that people pride themselves on in America. But, sustainability is a real problem. That's true in terms of economic markets, where a lot of crops from the United States are sold to other countries, for example, China. And now we've imposed tariffs on China, and guess who winds up paying the price? It's Illinois and Iowa and Wisconsin and Missouri and Nebraska and all these farmers that, work their lives trying to sustain their crop output every year. And Trump doesn't care about those people. But what he does do, and this is sort of his method, he has never had a good grasp of forecasting policy. He bankrupted casinos, for instance, right? And many, many of his businesses failed. And those that did sort of succeed were dependent on creative bookkeeping. The guy is not a good planner. He could never be a good farmer. He sucks at everything he does. But somehow he came up with this let's do something about our markets idea with tariffs, and they've never been proven to work. And right now, something like 86 to 90% of the tariffs are being absorbed not by foreign companies, but by Americans paying higher product prices. And the farmers are the ones that get kicked right in the nuts. And what does Trump do? He uses taxpayer money to pay them off for the fuck-ups that he did. And that's the sick aspect of it. And all these guys with Trump signs out here, they're happy to ask for handouts now when many of them apparently don't like, the idea that immigration people come here and, they're using our tax dollars, blame immigrants for everything. Well, guess what? A lot of our farm production, especially things like fruits and vegetables and everything, are reliant on immigrant workers. And so Trump is so fucking dumb about what really happens here on the earth that he's screwing everybody over. And these farmers out here, you sort of have to have empathy for them because they've been lied to. They've been deceived. And we need small farmers as well as big farmers. But during Trump's first term, when he first messed up with farm markets, Sonny Perdue, his Secretary of Agriculture, said to American farmers, tough luck, go big or go away. And so corporatized farmers, farming, and the seed crops owned by giant firms like Bayer and Monsanto and all of that are taking over. And if we don't have any local control over how food's produced, we're at the mercy of all of that, the corporatization of America and the oligarchy. And if you don't connect these dots and see that people out here are being deceived, and these are the same people basically voting for Trump, then you don't get it. Where will these crops go? We really don't know. They may rot in the bins, in the dryers, everything.
The United States has lost over 800,000 jobs this year so far under the Trump administration, and that is the most jobs lost from January to July since 2020. And remember who was president back then? Donald Trump. Donald Trump is so mad about the jobs report that he's now claiming that it was rigged. Everything that he doesn't like is rigged. And by the way, the job report was not rigged. We thought we'd gain over 100,000 jobs this July. We didn't. It was closer to 70,000. The economy is slowing. People are losing work. Manufacturing jobs are laying off people because of tariffs, and things could get worse. Tariffs are about to increase for so many different countries. The list goes on and on. And by the way, Donald Trump is threatening tariffs with countries just in the middle of the night, it seems. This is absolutely insanity. I know there's one job I'd like to see lost, though. I'd like to see Donald Trump removed from office. He is a liability to the well-being of our nation. He is an economy killer. This dude destroyed our economy in 2020, and he's doing it again.
So for all you fucking MAGA snowflakes that voted for Trump for the economy, for gas prices and cheaper eggs, I want to tell you something that you probably don't know because you don't know how to do research. Trump announced his 25% tariff on Mexico and Canada today, and that sounds great, wonderful, except for the fact that only about 10% of the oil that we use in the US comes from the Middle East. You know where the rest of it comes from? Mexico and fucking Canada. So guess what? When gas prices are up at 45% in the next 6 months, I'm going to go around and I'm going to stick those stupid fucking stickers that you guys put on the gas pumps during COVID when Biden was president. Only this time it's going to have Trump's face and it's going to say, I did that. And you guys are going to have to fucking look at it. And I'm
Travel to the United States is down 14% in the month of March. Expect this number to skyrocket over the next 6 months as Trump has made people terrified to visit the United States for fear for their safety. And they're right. They should be afraid. I'm an American citizen. I was born here. I am terrified to live in this country. Guys, this is not the old United States of America. This is Trump's corrupt America, and it is dangerous. We are literally having men pull up in vans, ICE agents with hoods on, pulling people off of the street, illegally detaining them without due process, and incarcerating them in effectively what are concentration camps. The courts go against it and nothing happens. These people are sitting in these holding cells illegally detained. Some of these people are U.S. citizens. If you're a foreigner, what do you think they'll do to you? Please don't come here. Okay, let's look at the economic impact of the travel industry, which is roughly a $3 trillion industry in this country. It's around 3% of our GDP. Significant amount, okay? What's going to happen? Well, see, this is the problem with having an economic ignoramus in the White House. He doesn't understand things like the law of cause and effect, like the law of unintended consequences. That when he takes an action, there's always a reaction around the world. And that reaction is not always immediate and it's not always linear. He doesn't understand this. Trump is a simpleton. I've known him for 30 years. He is a simpleton. Okay, this is Richie Rich. He was born with all this money. He didn't make this money, guys. He was born with it. The guy used all his money to rip people off and grift, and he's still grifting at the very highest level publicly. So what are we going to see as the travel industry shrinks and shrinks? We're going to see layoffs. We're going to see people lose their jobs. We're going to see the economy affected, all kinds of different things. This is one of the problems that you have when you have a simpleton in the White House. So again, if you're a foreigner, please don't travel here. I'm sorry to say that. Stay where you're at. Travel somewhere else while Trump is here. Until we get rid of this clown, it's not safe to be here.